It's an enigma of a betting occasion in the NFL. For some reason, it is consistently, statistically, the chalkiest week of the NFL year. Welcome into the Hot Read Podcast special Best Bet Gauntlet Thanksgiving edition. I'm your host, Easton Freeze, Director of Published Content here at BroadwaySportsMedia.com. We're also brought to you by the 440 Podcast Network. You can follow me on social media at Easton Freeze. I am joined as always by producer JT, who you can follow on social media at JT_Runke. JT, happy Thanksgiving Eve. Are you excited for this special second annual betting episode?
I am, and I'm so excited as to bet these Thanksgiving games as well as watch them, so much so that instead of just getting up bright and early and driving to Thanksgiving tomorrow, I'm driving tonight. So if you see any parlays at like 2 a.m. while I'm in the backwoods of Tennessee that are like plus 9,000 and I'm saying this hits no matter what, I would totally fail them. Can't miss.
Right.
It's impossible that those will fail.
When you already see it, this is a good thing that you're going to be driving for the next 12 hours of your life, because I can already tell you have so much energy right now. So there's no way that that's going to be an issue for you. You need to put on some caffeine would be my recommendation.
For this
evening. Is that the plan?
Yeah, I went to the gas station already because I just don't. It's such a crapshoot. I don't know what's going to be open tonight, so I stocked up. I got a little cooler of all my assorted energy drinks and coffee drinks of sorts. So I'm going to be wired. So we'll see how it goes. I love that.
Well, so you're doing Thanksgiving tomorrow. You're going to South Carolina, right? University of. To hang out with your brother and your dad for a big Gamecocks game. Am I right?
Yeah, we're going. So basically we're not doing Thanksgiving this year. We were just like, we're going to go to the Gamecocks Clemson game. And so that's what we're doing. It's on Saturday. Super excited for that. Excited to watch some good prospects, get my early scouting in, my only early scouting for the combine season.
Sounds like it's going to be a real boy dinner Thanksgiving spread.
It's going to be such a frat boy Thanksgiving. It's going to be great. I'm excited.
Well, I'm currently with this awesome lighting and janky virtual background I got going on right here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm at my grandparents' house, the first leg of our Thanksgiving tour. Just stepped away from our early Thanksgiving meal. So I am stuffed to the brim. Going to be at my other set of grandparents' house tomorrow with my wife and my family. So we do a lot of family things this week. And we had to take a break here from the family activities to talk about our favorite bets for the Thanksgiving spread. Now this year, JT, we get a little bit extra action because the NFL is debuting their Black Friday game this year. So we've got 3 games on Thanksgiving, and then Friday evening, we've got a game between the Dolphins and the Jets. We're going to talk about each game, and we're going to we modify the rules of the Best Bet Gauntlet for this event because, full disclosure, this is really the one episode a year. We do over 100 episodes of the Hot Read Podcast every year. This is the one episode a year that we really do more for ourselves than for our audience because it's just too much daggum fun for us to do. And so we are going to select 3 bets of any kind each from each game, and then on Thanksgiving, and then we've got 2 bets each for the Black Friday game, and then a fun parlay that we're going to take together to cap things off at the end. But it is still a draft style. These are sides, bets, props, totals, parlays, whatever you can put money down on, as long as it is roughly even money. So anything from plus 120 to minus 120, those are the parameters that JT and I pretty much kept ourselves inside of with these picks. So they're going to be all over the board. There's going to be some ones that are very funny, very strange, some very degenerate selections. But we've done some research on them. We've got some numbers to back them up and reasons why we're excited about them and think they're going to be money makers. And they are going to count against our Best Bet Gauntlet record this year. So this is not just some throwaway betting. This is this has some real stakes to it, and you could really hurt or help yourself based on how Thanksgiving goes. Of course, as always, we recommend that you tail all of our picks here on the Best Bet Gauntlet as we continue to make you money over a season and a half sample size of 300 plus bets at this point. If you're watching or listening to the show. We appreciate you doing so. Make sure you go over to Broadway Sports Media's YouTube page and subscribe over there at Broadway Sports Media on YouTube. Subscribing there helps us out tremendously. It is free to you, and we are really trying to get that follower count up, that subscriber count up as much as possible. And of course, follow us on social media at Hot Read Pod on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. All right, JT. Let's dive into the games. How about? And with this first one, I believe it's at noon on Thursday. We've got Green Bay visiting Detroit. One of, I just realized this, all four of these games are divisional games. I'm not sure if that's by design or not, but the first of the four divisional games, Green Bay visiting Detroit. Green Bay coming off of a big win against Pittsburgh, an ugly, gross game. Detroit coming off of a game where they kind of got away with one against another divisional opponent, the Chicago Bears. They end up winning, but not covering. The spread as of Tuesday, when we're recording this about 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, is a 7.5. Detroit laying 7.5 points. Again, we can go anywhere we want on the board. And JT, you did win the best bet gauntlet in week 11, so the first pick belongs to me. And with my first pick, I'm going to select my maybe favorite prop of any of these games. It's rookie Jayden Reed, Green Bay Packers wide receiver. I'm taking him over 25.5 receiving yards in this game. Really simple handicap to a lot of these, but this one in particular. In the last 4 games Jayden Reed has played, he has gone not just over 25.5, but over 46 receiving yards. He's almost doubled this 3 of the last 4 games that he has played in, as well as the fact that in this game, I expect Detroit to be leading, commanding the game for pretty much the entirety of regulation, meaning Green Bay is going to be in a passing, come from behind game script. I think he's going to get plenty of targets, plenty of looks. I expect him to crush this number. It's a highly graded prop on the Action Network's Pro Prop analytics server. So everything that I see points towards going with Jayden Reed over 25.5 receiving yards as my first pick.
Yeah, I'm going to be tailing that one because also currently, despite no one caring about my fantasy football team, I will be playing Jayden Reed this week.
So it's
just
be
because
I
need a Hail Mary play to keep my playoff chances alive. So I'm hoping that one hits, and I hope he has a good day. I'm also thinking about sprinkling not even a half unit, but a quarter of a unit on all 3 of these Green Bay wide receivers anytime touchdown, because Detroit does like to give up big time plays, and all 3 of these receivers, whether it be Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, or Jayden Reed, are all big time down the field kind of guys. So I think at a quarter of a unit, you're going to make your money back and more on those. Maybe hit 2 of them because Jordan Love, like you said, they're going to be playing from behind. So I love that pick right there. I'm going to head over to the sides on this one, and I'm going with Detroit minus 7.5 in this game. Like we said, this is one where I feel like I've been reading Detroit pretty well this season. Last week, I took Chicago because I just thought that was a trap game for them, getting Justin Fields back. That defense is back. Well, now they're going back. They're going to be playing at home again on Thanksgiving. And they're playing a Green Bay team who comes off a pretty fraudulent win against the Los Angeles Chargers, in my opinion. The debate this entire week has been how Justin Herbert literally had maybe one of his best games of his career, but because this Chargers team just keeps shooting themselves in the foot in every other aspect, they cannot come away with the win. Just a couple of stats for you for this game. Matt LaFleur, he's excelled as an underdog, and currently he's a plus 7.5 point underdog. However, even though he's 17-10 against the spread as an underdog, he's 12-5 with when he had Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, only 5-5 as an underdog with Jordan Love. So not crazy about that one. If you want to know how LaFleur has done against the Lions since 2017, the Packers are just 2-11 against the spread versus the Lions. It's LaFleur's least profitable opponent against the spread, going 2-7 against the spread on those. If you're not more of a trends guy and you just want to know how the game is played, Jordan Love struggles against teams who get to the quarterback and get pressure often. He doesn't play good against teams when the sack rate is up, and currently the Lions have a sack rate of 3.7% of plays that end in a sack. When it is more than 3%, Jordan Love is 2-4 against the spread. This is another one where I think it plays out very similarly to earlier this year. I think that the Lions get out to a lead. I think they continue to stay a lead. I think they have the better defense. I think they have the better quarterback and offense play right now. So I'm going to take Detroit minus 7.5 this week.
Yep, I like that pick. And I was kicking myself in the middle of you reading out your numbers on that one because we should have started things out with some general Thanksgiving betting data for the folks. So let me quick pause very quickly. I want to run through just the baseline numbers because Thanksgiving, JT, we enjoy betting it so much because it's an enigma of a betting occasion in the NFL. It is really different from any other weekend, any playoff weekend, any preseason sicko betting. Like, it's very different in the sense that for some reason, it is consistently, statistically, the chalkiest week of the NFL year, with the Thanksgiving games in particular. Now, week 12, this Sunday, that's a different story. But with the games on Thanksgiving, historically, these games are really, really chalky. Some numbers for you for this year's slate. If Detroit, Dallas, and San Francisco all close as 7 or more point favorites, which they're going to, I can go ahead and tell you that right now. It's going to be the first Thanksgiving slate in history with 3 games of that magnitude. So lopsided. Favorites of 7 or more for those of you wanting to bet the big favorites on Thanksgiving are 21-2 straight up. 17-6 against the spread on Thanksgiving since 2006. So favorites of 7 or more have not just dominated in winning these games, but in covering. Favorites of 10 or more are 8-0 against the spread on Thanksgiving since 2005, 11-0 against the spread in the last 30 years. So these massive favorites are literally perfect in the last 3 decades of Thanksgiving football, which again is so different. We love to bet against the big favorites on regular weeks of the NFL calendar, on regular Sundays, not on Thanksgiving. Road favorites are of any amount are 24-1 straight up, 19-6 against the spread. Favorites are 7 or more on the road, are 9-0 straight up, 8-1 against the spread. All of those numbers coming in the last 20 years. The only exception to these favorites dominate rule, JT, are America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Thanksgiving, in one sentence, is chalk, 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 except for the Cowboys. That's essentially what it is. Dallas has lost they have not covered in 4 straight games against the spread on Thanksgiving. They are 1-11 against the spread in their last 12. So just dreadful, miserable covering on Thanksgiving. The Dallas Cowboys are. Dak Prescott, for his part, is 1-5 in covering on Thanksgiving, the worst of any quarterback on Thanksgiving since 1990. So you need to bet the faves except for the Cowboys is essentially the golden rule on Thanksgiving. Now, with that said, let's get back to our sides here. My second pick in this Green Bay-Detroit game, the early game on Thanksgiving, I'm going with another young player that I expect to continue to break out. Jameson Williams, second-year receiver for the Detroit Lions, over 1.5 receptions. Jameson Williams, over 1.5 receptions. The play here is because of this. He's gone over this number, 2 or more receptions, in 5 of the 6 games that he has played all year long. And his snap share continues to increase significantly each and every week, especially the last 2 weeks. He's really skyrocketed from rotational player to borderline starter in terms of snap share the past 2 weeks. I expect that to continue. I think he's going to continue to become a staple of the offense. Again, just need 2 receptions for him in this game to cover. He's done that in 5 of the 6 games he's played this year. I think that he's going to give me Jameson Williams over 1.5 receptions.
Yeah, I like that. And I think it's also important to say where we're getting these lines because obviously different books have different lines. I'm looking at one of my accounts, my FanDuel account, doesn't even allow you to bet on Jaden Reed because they're a bunch of little sissies. So
losers. It's important to remember. They're afraid of the action. They're afraid of the juice.
They are afraid of the juice, especially with that one there. So yeah, I like that pick. And I think you got that one from DraftKings, who has a lot more player props. So if you're looking for the player props, definitely head over to there. My next one, I'm staying with the side, but in the same game, but going just splitting the game in half here. So I'm going with Detroit -4.5 first half spread. A couple books have it at 5.5. I still would feel pretty comfortable with that, especially with the value you're getting right now. I think you can get it at 5.5 on FanDuel plus even money, plus 100. Just a couple of stats on this one. Like I said, I expect this Detroit team to get out to an early lead. As we know, this Green Bay team struggles in the first half. It's hard for them to get anything going, as we've seen time and time again in the Steelers game in the Chargers game, a low scoring totals from that team specifically. And I expect that to happen once again here. But this Lions team just gets up early and looks to stay up early. A couple stats here. Jared Goff, that is 19-7-1 against the first half spread over the past 2 seasons. It's the best mark of any quarterback in the NFL. He's also just the most profitable quarterback against the spread over the past 5 years.
Which is a crazy number, but he really has.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I'm looking for them. I'm looking for Jared Goff specifically to bounce back after his poor performance last week and lead the Lions out to a quick start. So yeah, if you can still get it at 4.5, that's what I have it at. Love it. But 5.5, I still feel pretty comfortable, especially at the even odds that it is right now. So yeah, I'm going to take them with the first half points.
I like that pick, and I think folks that just see our graphic of the rundown of these picks on social media are going to be like, why'd they double dip on Detroit full game favorite and first half favorite? This is absolutely a spot where you should be doing that because of the fact that, like you said, Detroit has been getting out so quickly ahead of their opponents. With my third and final pick in the Green Bay Detroit game, I have got a very simple handicap here. Give me A.J. Dillon, running back for the Green Bay Packers, under 48.5 rushing yards. It's A.J. Dillon under 48.5 rushing yards. 2 reasons why I'm taking this one. First of all, you just look at his statistics so far this year. He has gone under this number in 2 of the last 3 games, 5 of the last 8 games that he has played. The other time, the previous time that they played this Detroit team this year, he had all of 11 yards rushing, so they shut him down in that one. I think they're going to do it again. I think a big part of the reason why he's going to have less than roughly 50 rushing yards in this one, even though I expect him to get a decent sample size of attempts, especially early in the game, is because, again, they're going to be in that trailing game script. I think they're going to be having to throw. They're going to have to be throwing the ball a good bit, especially in that second half. They won't get the ball to their backs very often. Fewer attempts, fewer yards. I like it for A.J. Dillon to go under 48.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, with the final pick here in this first game, I'm going to keep it simple and go with a running back on the other side. I'm going to take David Montgomery's over rushing yards, 66.5 right now on a couple books. This one for me is pretty simple. Last time they played Green Bay, it was clear that once they got up early, they wanted to control the clock as much as they could. And even with the uptick in Jahmyr Gibbs usage, I expect them to run with David Montgomery just as they did last time. This Green Bay front is not very good against the run. They're the 5th worst in the league against the run, and I expect that to continue in this game. Last time David Montgomery played him, he had 32 carries for 121 yards. That's only 3.8 yards per carry. Since then, he's only gotten better with his efficiency. Last 2 games, 9.7 yards per carry, 6.3 yards per carry. I think if he gets his 10 or to 12 carries this game against this run defense, I expect him to get that and more, especially with how much they're going to want to control the clock. So I'm going to take David Montgomery's yards over.
I like it. All right, so those are our picks. Those are our 6 picks in the Green Bay Detroit game. Instead of recapping all of our picks at the end of the episode and reading out 23 picks to you in a word salad that your brain can't comprehend, I know that's a lot. I'll go game by game. So let's review this game's picks. I am taking A.J. Dillon under 48.5 rushing yards, Jaden Reed over 25.5 receiving yards, and Jameson Williams over 1.5 receptions. For JT's part, he's got the double dip on Detroit sides. Detroit full game -7.5, Detroit first half -4.5, and David Montgomery over 66.5 rushing yards. All right, our next game on the Thanksgiving slate, the midday game. It's Washington at Dallas, a Thanksgiving staple. The game that I know Detroit is like the team everybody thinks about when they think about Thanksgiving. For me, from my childhood, JT, I always go back to my first memory is watching the old Redskins teams playing these Dallas Cowboys. I've seen it a bunch in my lifetime. It's produced a number of very strange football games. So proceed with caution in this one. It's another instance of Dallas being very heavily favored over a team that they, the market, the books consider to be far inferior to Dallas, but it is a division game. Dallas, like we said, they are very bad at covering and very fluky on Thanksgiving. JT, why don't you do the honors for us? Start us off with the first pick of yours in this Dallas-Washington game.
Yeah, so the first one here is one that we both of us kind of put together this parlay because as much as we like Dallas in this game, we do realize that everything is like you said, pretty much chalk for this for Thanksgiving, except the
For the
Dallas
Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Well, what are they are? They're at what, plus 12.5 right now?
Yeah,
Some ridiculous number, right?
we were talking about this. I personally loved this bet at -11. You didn't really like it at -11. Now it's up to 12.5. I never got it through our Twitter where we put our look ahead lines. So what can you do? I'm not going to take it at 12.5. That's a lot of points.
Tease it down, baby. Easy.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do this week. We're going to give you a tease here on both sides of it here, both the side and the total. We're going Dallas -6.5 and parlaying that with the under of alternate under of 55.5. We think that Dallas is still going to win this game, but as is with divisional games outside of a Tommy DeVito led Giants, like this Dallas team plays them close. I'm expecting this Washington team, as we've seen the Cowboys go bad, good, bad, good. We've seen the Commanders go good, bad, good, bad. So I think this is a matchup where after getting absolutely smoked by Tommy DeVito, the chicken cutlet lover, the most Italian man, the most Italian man on the East Coast, I'm expecting Washington to come out and have a better showing. And with that, the under of 55.5, that kind of gives us kind of that space right there to say that, yes, we do think Dallas is going to win, but they're not going to absolutely boat race them in this game and put up a performance like they did against the Giants. We could see a very similar line of maybe like a 28-17 line of or close to that, like with the Carolina game. So with that, you get that at -117. That is pretty much close to as if you were going to take the side in either one of these, either the Washington side or the Cowboy side. So that's one that we really like this week.
Yeah, I like that parlay solution a lot because, and spoiler, we're gonna come back to this double tease theme, this motif later in the show. It allows you to get the best of two trending best worlds, right? We know what are standalone primetime or standalone games this year. So all primetime games or overseas games, and now we're going to include Thanksgiving games. They're, I think, last count 32-7, 32-8 on the year to the under. So primetime unders, we've been talking about like crazy. I think that still is going to apply in these standalone games, and for that reason, I think getting under 55.5 is a safe play. And then getting that Dallas number down to winning by a touchdown, allowing you to cash. Getting under that touchdown number is a big deal. So I like that pick a lot. My first one, I'm fascinated by what Sam Howell is going to do in this game. Sam Howell, mind you, the current leader in total passing yards in the NFL. He's just been slanging it this year. And I think he's going to have to be a big part of this game if Washington stands a chance. So first pick in Washington at Dallas, give me Sam Howell over 38.5 pass attempts. He has covered this number not just at the 39 number, but all the way at 41. He's gone 41 or more pass attempts in 7 of his last 8 games, 5 of his last 5 games. It's going to be a passing game script, just like in the Detroit game. They're a big underdog here, even bigger underdog than Green Bay is. Washington is going to have to throw the ball all over the yard to Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin and all these studs that they've got on the edge, sneaky good receiving core, Logan Thomas and the like. They're going to have to pass the ball around the yard, and I think Sam Howell is already in games that he's not even game script required to pass as much as he will in this one. He's already passing for north of 40 attempts per game. I think in this game that will be no exception. So I think Sam Howell over 38.5 pass attempts is the play here.
Yeah, I like that one as well. I'm going to go to a Sam Howell one as well here, and I'm going to take, I believe I got this one on DraftKings because once again, FanDuel is bad. I'm taking Sam Howell over 0.5 interceptions. This one's pretty easy for me. Sam Howell, as he does love to sling the ball, he also has not been efficient with slinging that ball. He's prone to make a bunch of mistakes this season. And you can look to just last week where he threw 3 interceptions against the New York Giants. He's now going up against a much better secondary this week. And in the last 7 games, or let's see what, the last 5 games that he's played,
there you go.
He's thrown 6 interceptions in the last 5 games. I'm expecting that trend to continue against the Dallas team that has a good secondary, even without Diggs. So I'm going to take the over on the interceptions for Sam Howell because of how much he's going to have to throw the ball.
I like it. I'm going to go back to the Sam Howell well with my second pick in this game. Give me Sam Howell for the 3rd consecutive bet between the two of us. Over 14.5 rushing yards. This, again, it's the exact same handicap, right? This Dallas defense is nasty. Their defensive front is nasty. I think they're going to get after him and force him to scramble and use his legs. And I'm looking at his numbers. I see no reason why he will not be willing to do that. In his last 5 games, he has gone over 14.5 rushing yards in 4 of them. So 4 of the last 5, he's cleared this number. That passing game script, Dallas pass rush, they're going to have him on the move all day long. So I love Sam Howell over 14.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, and let's moving on here. I'm going to talk about some tight ends in this game. As we saw last year in this Thanksgiving game for Dallas, it was the all tight ends game where 3 Dallas tight ends.
I'd forgotten about this.
Scored touchdowns. Both.
You just unlocked that memory for me. I completely forgot about
I forget
this.
the other one, but then also Dalton Schultz. Now 2 of those 3 tight ends are gone. So we're going to start off with Jake Ferguson here. We're taking the over on receptions, 3.5.
That was kind of the Jake Ferguson coming out party, right?
Like, I don't think
people in America knew who he was until that.
Yes, it was a bit of a coming out game, but now he has become one of Dak's favorite targets this season, and with that has come a bunch of targets. I think the line for 3.5 is pretty simple here. In his last 4 games, he's gone over that 3 of 4, except last week where he had a little bit of a down week from Carolina. He's averaging 4 or more targets in his last 4 games as well. Pretty simple. If they're going to move the ball, they're going to want to look towards Jake Ferguson this week. So I'm going to take his over and then parlay that with the tight end on the other team, Logan Thomas.
I'm taking game for JT.
Yes,
I like it.
I'm taking the under on Logan Thomas's receptions, 4.5. A couple models that I've seen just don't like it in this game, especially going up against a tough defense in Dallas. They have some pretty good linebackers who love in safety play that have been able to take away the tight end position so far this season. And although they love to try to target Logan Thomas, I think 4.5 is just a little too steep for me. I could see him getting 4, but I don't see him getting 5 in this one. So I'm going to take Logan Thomas with under 4.5 receptions.
I like it. With my last pick, our last pick in the Washington-Dallas game, I'm finally getting away from Sam Howell. 2 of my 3 are Sam Howell. There's too much Sam Howell exposure. I need to go elsewhere. So let me flip to their team here and take Mr. finally got into the end zone himself, Tony Pollard, under 15.5 rushing attempts in this game. If you look at his past 7 games, in which a number of them, the Cowboys were blowing out their opponent, right? Some Giants games in there, the Carolina game last week. They have murdered some teams in their last 7. Despite that, and despite what on paper you'd think is a game script where it's going to be, let's run the ball until we can get out of here. We're winning by 20. Let's get out and ground and pound. They've not been getting the ball to Tony Pollard on the ground in those games to bleed the clock. Big blowout games in the last 7, and still he has gone 0 for 7 in those games, clearing this number. So he's gone under 15.5 rushing attempts in his last 7 games. I think that there's no reason that changes in this one, where I expect them to be leading for a lot of the game. Give me Tony Pollard under 15.5 rushing attempts. And those are our 6 picks for the Washington-Dallas game. We are now halfway through. To recap Washington-Dallas, JT is going with Sam Howell over 0.5 interceptions. So Sam Howell to throw 1 or more interceptions. A teaser parlay of Dallas minus 6.5 and under 55.5 total points in the game. And then a second parlaying 2 props, Logan Thomas under 4.5 receptions and Jake Ferguson over 3.5 receptions. So that's Thomas under 4.5, Ferguson over 3.5. Those are our picks for Washington at Dallas. Now the nightcap, another big divisional game. For my money, JT, I expect this one to maybe be the most exciting of the games of these four on our Thanksgiving and Black Friday slate. We've got San Fran at Seattle, another big number. Now, this was the only game of these four that has at any point this week been under a touchdown spread. And spoiler, JT did well to lock that in on Twitter. Another big reason why you need to be following us on social media, Twitter in particular, on X, at Hot Read Pod. That's where you're going to find our look-ahead lines to get that closing line value, of which JT got, which he'll tell you about here in a second. But San Fran now, I believe, is a 7, if not a 7.5 point favorite against Seattle. If there was one of these games that if you are waiting to try to bet at game time and we're thinking it might come back down, maybe this one comes back down. Maybe. So if you're liking the San Fran side, which JT is about to tell you why you should, I would wait. But without any further teasing, JT, tell folks why you locked in San Fran at 6.5 earlier in the week and why you like that side. You're muted.
Personally, before I even get into some of the data here, my thoughts on this game were pretty simple. That San Fran loves this spot against a Seattle team. Like we said all season, we've been betting against Seattle quite a lot this season. They have not really beaten anybody that has been worth a damn, frankly.
Right.
They lost last week to a Los Angeles Rams game, which they probably should have won. They lose to a Commanders team that turned around after that win and lost to Tommy DeVito once again, as I must restate. This is just a tough spot. I don't know what
the over-under on Tommy DeVito references were for this episode, but it hit a while ago.
Yeah. This is a spot, I think, for San Fran where they kind of came off that 3-game losing streak and now have just been absolutely soaring the past couple of weeks. They absolutely trounce the Jaguars. Then they go to and beat up on the Buccaneers as well. And now they face the Seahawks, which I think they do the same. Night favorites on Thanksgiving have been 12-4, 75% over the last 16 games here. Also, Pete Carroll, he has covered 2 straight. However, I expect that to change here. He's covered 2 straight against the NFC West, playing both the Rams and then the Cardinals before that. He has not had a 3-game against the spread win streak versus the NFC West since December of 2018. A little funny stat there.
What a niche stat. I like it.
It is a niche stat, but Seahawks are 2-1 against the spread, against the spread versus the NFC West this season, and they have not finished above 500 against the NFC West since 2014. He's also the least profitable coach against the spread versus own division at home, which they are at home since 2017. This is a spot where, like I said, they have some injuries in the secondary. This team also with a Geno Smith who is going to play, but could he be a little bit banged up still going into this game? I think so. So I'm going to take San Fran to just absolutely demolish them like they've been doing all season in this spot. I'm going to take the -6.5, which I locked in earlier this week because I had a feeling that it was going to get above the touchdown. And like you said, this is a classic San Fran wins by a touchdown spot. And I was like, it's too good to pass up. So I'm going to take it.
I agree. I like that pick a lot. I'm going to do something similar, showing my respect for and expectations, frankly, for San Francisco in this one. I'm going to go back to the well, JT, on our teaser parlays. So let me take, with my first pick in the San Fran-Seattle game, San Francisco -2.5. So teasing them down under that field goal. San Fran -2.5 plus over 38.5 points. Now, I actually waffled on this one, JT. Earlier in our prep, I was talking about doing what you did and taking an elevated under, right? Bumping that number up and taking the under. But as I've looked into this, looked at some of the picks that are already out there from some of my favorite pros, we do a lot of tailing, and I get a lot of my thoughts and information from them because they are full-blown, full-time professionals in the betting space and make a lot of money. So I'd be a fool not to listen to them. They're big on this over. It's strange because this is the primetime game of this weekend, or of this week. It is the game that fits that trend this year of what I'm definitely making it up, but it's in this neighborhood of 31-9, 31-8, whatever, 30 to a single digit record of primetime unders currently exists this season. So you'd think it'd be a heavy underplay. But the pros know. I couldn't tell you why, but they know this game is likely to go over. And for that reason, I'm going to do a depressed over. So give me San Fran -2.5 plus over 38.5. I know pros are taking just the straight over at, I think right now it's 44. And if you look at what these two teams did when they saw each other previously this season, that total was in the 60s. So not shocking, I guess, that pros are liking these two to be pretty score happy. For that reason, I think San Fran wins by a field goal, and this game gets into the 40s for a total. Give me San Fran -2.5 plus parlayed with the over of 38.5.
Yeah, I like it. And now we're going to go to another prop for me. I'm going to go with a San Francisco wide receiver, but probably not one that you were even had on your radar here. I'm going with Juwan Jennings with his over in yards in this game. The past couple of games for him have been pretty lackluster. He only was targeted one time last week. Only was targeted 2 times the week before against Jacksonville, but against these teams that have better secondaries, like with Cleveland and with Minnesota and a couple of these other ones as well, he's had some good production. 2 for 26 on 4 targets, and then against Minnesota, 5 for 54 against with 9 targets. And even though Deebo Samuel's back, I'm expecting him to at least.
Wow.
Yeah, he had 9 targets in that game with Deebo Samuel gone, but Deebo Samuel's back. But I still expect him to at least get a couple of targets in this game against a secondary that is going to be on Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel constantly in this game with so many mouths to defend in this game. I think Juwan Jennings finds a little soft spot for him, and I think Kyle Shanahan knows that. His over under currently on receptions is 13.5 receiving yards. So that's pretty much for a Juwan Jennings reception. That's pretty much, if he gets one, he's going to get over it. So I like this pick this week. I'm putting half a unit on this one this week. So that's one of my favorites.
I like it. I like it a lot. My next pick, my second pick in the San Fran Seattle game, I'm going Zach Charbonnet over 52.5 rush yards. This is maybe the selection that JT and I debated most heavily. He's not fond on this one, which I understand his reasoning, but I am still, despite listening to and contemplating his concerns, I am still heavily invested in this pick, and let me explain why. Charbonnet has not been the feature back this year. This week, he is set to do that as the only healthy back on this Seattle roster, and for that reason, I think that he's going to see the volume. Now, the concerns from JT, which are valid, where there's a big difference between a change of pace back and a feature back. And when a change of pace back is put into that feature role, thrust into that position, sometimes that efficiency, that production takes a significant hit. They're just not built for that kind of workload, that kind of spotlight. I'm not sure that's the case with Charbonnet. Now, maybe it's the case if we find out that Charbonnet really only works because of what Ken Walker has been able to do between the tackles and pounding on defenses. But I think Charbonnet is going to be up to the challenge. If you look at him in his past 4 games, he has had 44 or more rushing yards in 3 of those 4, which is not clearing the number, by the way, of 52.5. It's close, but not clearing it. But the important bit here of this statistic is that in those games where he's averaging 44 or more rushing yards, he's averaging just 8.6 carries in those 3 games. Last week, when Ken Walker went down mid-game and you saw Charbonnet step into that feature back role, he finished the game with 15 carries. I expect that to probably be his floor in this game. I think he'll get 15, 16, 17 carries. I think he will eclipse that 52.5 rushing yard number because he is really their only healthy back, and the Seattle offense only works if they can have some kind of production on the ground. For that reason, give me Zach Charbonnet over 52.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I'm with you with your reasoning there. It's just for me, yeah, like we debated, it's pretty tough for me because of just how his yards per carry have been. It's been a little.
They've been inflated for sure.
It's been inflated for sure, but I think against the San Francisco team only averaging 4, that's one that I see a reasoning for it for sure. With my last pick here for the San Francisco-Seattle game, taking Brock Purdy's rushing over of 9.5 yards. You can get this on both DraftKings and FanDuel as well. in 3 of his last 4, he's gone over that number by quite a bit. In 3 of the last 4, he's gone for at least 14 yards on the ground or more. And against the Seattle team that has a pretty aggressive young front 7 there, I'm expecting them to get past the line of scrimmage a couple of times, make Brock Purdy move up in the pocket, and if he can get 3 or 4 runs, I think he's going to find some space out there and be able to get this number. He's proved this season so far that he's able to be a mobile quarterback, and I think that happens here once again. So I'm going to take the Brock Purdy over on the rushing yards.
I like that one a lot. I'm absolutely tailing you on that one. My last pick, yes, this is we've done all of them. This is our last pick from the San Francisco Seattle game. I'm going with a gross one, maybe the most niche pick of our entire slate here. Give me Jason Myers, the Seattle kicker, over 5.5 kicking points. Now, I'm not sure where all you can get this. I know you can get it on DraftKings. That's where I found it. Really simple handicap on this one. Jason Myers over 5.5 kicking points means, very simply, get 2 field goals in this game, you win the bet, right? It's really as simple as that. If you look at his production the past couple of games, he's gone over that number in 3 of his last 4, including 15 points and 10 points in his last 2 games. I'm expecting the San Francisco defense to force a lot of 3s instead of 7s. I think it's going to be very Titans fans who watch this show. It's going to be reminiscent of a lot of Titans games. I think a lot of these drives are going to stall out in the red zone. This stalwart San Francisco defense is going to get after this Seattle offense. A sack or 2 in that red area or near the red area forces them into a surrender, dump off, and then a 38-yard chip shot field goal from Jason Myers. And then boom, you're halfway to this bet. For that reason, I think that he gets 2 field goals and probably a couple extra points to boot because we like the over in this one. I'm going to take Jason Myers over 5.5 points kicking. All right. That is our third of 4 games and the final of our Thanksgiving slate. To recap that San Francisco-Seattle game, our picks. JT is going with San Francisco straight up spread -6.5. Jawan Jennings over 13.5 receiving yards and Brock Purdy over 9.5 rushing yards. For my part, I am taking a teaser parlay of San Fran teased down to -2.5 plus the over teased down to 38.5. So San Fran -2.5 plus over 38.5. Jason Myers over 5.5 kicking points and Zach Charbonnet over 52.5 rushing yards. And that leaves us just one more game on the slate. JT, it's Miami at the New York Jets for a little Black Friday action. This is an Amazon Prime exclusive, right? This is a Prime game, I think. So on Amazon Prime, we've got Miami at the Jets. We sat and we looked and we toiled and we researched, and we're not about forcing bets just for the sake of bets on this show, JT. We do a lot of betting. So some folks might mistake us for folks that guys that just throw out bets. But if we were just throwing bets at the wall, we would not have the winning record long-term that we have. So we put a lot of thought into these. And for that reason, we decided we really only like 4 bets from this Miami at the Jets game. I said, I like 2 of these. And you said, I like 2 of these. And we said, all right, fine. We'll just make it 4. Continuity. You know me, I'm a big OCD guy. I give you a hard time all the time in post-production with my OCD habits. But I'm willing on this one to not force the bets and just pick 2 sides each. And then we're going to cap off today's show with a little Thanksgiving group parlay. Let me start us off here, JT. And I'm going to take the straight spread. Give me Miami at the New York Jets, Miami -10. I think that they win this game by more than 10 or more points. And there's certainly some push potential here. And if you want to wait to see if some sharp money brings this number down to 9.5 for a split second before the game on Friday, I absolutely recommend doing that. So just maybe wait. But at 10, I still like it as long as it's under that 10.5 number and you're not having to give the hook. I think that Miami wins this game significantly. I think that there's not a lot of points to be scored, but I still don't see that this Tim Boyle-led offense for the Jets. It's Tim Boyle, right? Isn't that who it is?
Yes.
Yeah, Tim. Okay, so just making sure. See, it's so insignificant. I think Tim Boyle is not going to be able to put up many points on this Miami team, and Miami's offense, as good as the Jets defense is going to get theirs in any game, and this is no exception. We said at the beginning of the show, near the beginning of the show, JT, just how successful these massive favorites that aren't named the Dallas Cowboys are. Let me just reiterate that for this handicap. Faves of 10 or more, which this Miami team is, They are 8-0 against the spread on Thanksgiving since 2005 and 11-0 against the spread in the last 30 years. That is as simple as it gets. That's all I need to take Miami minus 10.
Yeah, I like that one here. And with my next pick, I'm going with the under, which is set currently at 41. It's a little gross, I admit here.
Totally.
Yeah,
But I love it.
But for me personally, I think this game is clearly just a get in, get out. We're playing on a weird day of the week, the first time ever. Really, let's just do our business and get out of here for Mike McDaniel's team, which has played down to competition constantly in the past 3 or 4 weeks. The under in their games also, if you're still riding high on that absolute mauling of the Broncos when they put up 70 points, if you're still saying that this is such a prolific offense, the under in the last 4 of their games has hit 3 times out of those 4. They're going up against a Jets team with Tim Boyle, who literally, I don't know how much of an upgrade it is over Zach Wilson. Like Tim Boyle has thrown more interceptions than he has touchdown passes in his career. I expect him not to be able to move the ball whatsoever this week. And so at least on the Jets side, this could honestly be a Cowboys situation where we're just hoping that the Dolphins do not score more than 41 points this week, because I don't foresee the Jets being able to do anything on offense. So I'm going to take the under here of 41.
Well, did you even I was looking at this to see if I wanted to tail you on this one. Did you even see that the Jets in their last 5 haven't had a 40-point game period? They've gone under 40 in their last 5, which is ridiculousness.
Well, the second, I mean, it's fair. The secondary is really good. They led by Sauce Gardner, like they're going to be able to shut down Miami a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you need, in order to go over, you kind of need both sides to score points. And I just don't think that's going to happen.
No, I completely agree. With my second and final pick in the Jets-Dolphins game. And not to put words in your mouth, JT, one more thought on that. That is absolutely a bet that I would pocket right now. Write that down, put it on your desk. If you're tailing it with us at home, don't bet it yet. These are the kinds of games. It's a standalone game on Friday. Everybody's going to be like hungover from their food coma the day before, eating Thanksgiving leftovers, feeling good because of how chalky Thanksgiving games are for square bettors. They're going to be probably rich in their FanDuel and DraftKings accounts and wanting to double down and make some more money on the Black Friday game. I think this over-under could get pushed up and up and up. We're taking the under. It's already gross. Wait to see if it gets a little bit less gross before game time. With my second and final pick, I am taking a prop. Give me Breece Hall. Under 13.5 rush attempts. Simple handicap here. He's gone under 13.5 rushing attempts in 4 of the last 5. It's going to be a trailing game script against a very good, very potent Dolphins offense. I see no reason why the Jets will try to ground and pound. They just changed quarterbacks to a guy who I'm assuming they're going to want to throw at least as much as they allowed Zach Wilson, which was barely, maybe even more, just slightly, than they were allowing Zach Wilson to throw, which will mean less and less downs to hand the ball off. For that reason, I think taking Breece Hall under 13.5 rush attempts is the play in this one. JT, what's your last pick in our final game?
Yeah, my last pick here, I'm going with Raheem Mostert under 2.5 receptions. And I know what you might be thinking, 2.5 receptions. Raheem Mostert has got that easy. Well, right. Raheem Mostert has not had more than 2 receptions since week 6. He actually only has 2 receptions total in the last 4 games that he's played, even without Devon Achane. I know they lose Salvin Ahmed this week, but they also have Jeff Wilson Jr. On this team as well, who will fill in that role. And especially if Achane plays this week, I expect him to get any of the receiving work. Raheem Mostert is really used in the passing game as a red zone threat. He's someone that when they get down there in the red zone, that's where they start to use him. However, we've seen them kind of go away from that ever since the beginning of the season. So for me, really, I like Raheem Mostert's under in this game for 2.5. He also, his yards is 13.5. I would possibly look to do that one as well when he has caught more than if he's caught 2. He's gone for 17 and 13 in his last 2 games where he has 2 or more receptions. So both of those are good, but I'm going just with the under here, 2.5.
All right, I like it. So to recap our final game, the Black Friday game from this Thanksgiving slate, JT has Miami. This is me. I've mixed them up. JT has under 41 total points in that game, and the Raheem Mostert under 2.5 receptions. I'm going with Miami -10 and Breece Hall under 13.5 rush attempts. Now, JT, we promised one final Thanksgiving best bet gauntlet. Everybody hold hands and sing Kumbaya on the Christmas tree bet. It is the chalky Thanksgiving parlay. On any other week of the NFL calendar, I would highly discourage this kind of betting behavior. However, the trends on Thanksgiving dictate that this is, in fact, a smart play. We did it last year with some teasers, same deal, but teased down some favorites, and that cash, no sweat. We've got to do it again this year. So I'd throw a half unit. Maybe I'm going to put a full unit on a money line favorites parlay. If you parlay Detroit money line, Dallas money line, San Francisco money line, and Miami money line, that gets you to plus 116. That is plus money. And I think that there's a very good possibility with all four of these teams favored by over a touchdown, some even more than that all four win, whether they win big, win small, cover, don't cover. I think they win. I don't really see an upset from any of these teams, any of these games. The only one that I'm maybe slightly concerned about is that Seattle team getting up in a big divisional game. Outside of that, I'd be shocked if any of these are upsets. For that reason, I think that parlaying Detroit, Dallas, San Fran, and Miami money line is a good play. And you know what? We're going to count that one against both of our records in the competition this year, as well as the total best bet gauntlet record this year. So that in total, JT, 23 bets placed on Thanksgiving. Last year, we went 11-7 on our 19 bets. A big opportunity for us to boost our numbers, a big opportunity for us to take our numbers. We'll be glued to our TVs on Thursday, as I'm sure all of you will be, as you're enjoying a great holiday with your family. We will talk to you again on Friday, live on Friday. This is the first time we've not gone live in a long time, JT. So the folks probably caught off guard by this one. It's debuting live, but we did record it earlier. We'll be live in the flesh, answering your questions, thoughts, comments, queries in the comment section on Friday, talking Titans, Panthers, a get-right game for the Titans, maybe a tank bowl for both teams, maybe. We'll see. We'll talk all about that, have plenty of thoughts on that later in the week. So enjoy your Thanksgiving, enjoy your families, enjoy the football. Until Friday, for producer JT, I'm your host, Easton Freeze. Let's make some money this week. We'll talk to you on Friday.